The OKC Thunder are getting out their brooms, but Shai hasn't exactly looked like the league's MVP. Is that good or bad for their title hopes? Matt Moore says Project Dynasty is dead in Denver. What's that mean for Nikola Jokić? Is a Cavs-Celtics Conference Finals matchup inevitable? All that and our favorite things of the week today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Happy Friday. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your shot clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And with me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network, he's our man of 1,000 podcasts. It's Matt Moore. Matt, did Jalen Brunson commit a backcourt violation last night?
I think so. Certainly looked like it. Wild game, wild sequence. The bigger problem for me, can Malik Beasley hit a shot? Like a shot, and the Pistons are going to be right in this thing.
Just one single shot. I think that's a fair question. We're going to get more on that Knicks-Pistons matchup later in the show. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, the Prince of Petty, it's Haize. Haize, did Lou Dort commit a dirty play getting under Ja Morant in transition, resulting in his hip injury last night?
So when I think of something as a dirty play, I think with intent. I think he was reckless. I don't know if it was a dirty play, but it was definitely a reckless play. I don't think he had the intent to try to hurt Ja on that play, but it was definitely reckless.
All right, let's stay with that matchup. OKC, Memphis. It looked really interesting in the first half before Ja Morant was injured. He doesn't play in the second half, and the OKC Thunder come back from down 29 points. It was the second largest comeback victory in NBA playoff history. They go up 3-0 on the Grizzlies. Let's hear from Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder on OKC's escape in Game 3 after dominating the first two games.
There was no panic from Oklahoma City. And there was trust from Oklahoma City. Because you look at this fourth quarter, and we're going to talk about this on the other side, but SGA takes 7 fourth quarter shot attempts, and Chet took 4. Like, they weren't just forcing the issue with their superstar no matter what. Like, they still rode the hot hand, and they still let these guys play just in a flow state, right? They didn't panic down the stretch and just ask their superstar to bail them out. They understood who had the hot hand, and they were able to adjust accordingly and just work for good shots. And then primarily in the fourth quarter, they just suffocated Memphis and got back to their identity as a defense, because that's what this whole thing is built on. Shai has been spectacular. Shai will be spectacular in the future this postseason, just like he was last postseason. But for this team to reach their ultimate goal, they have to play defense the way that they played in the first two games and the second half of this game. Defense is their superpower.
So Shai has been fantastic this regular season, and he got 30 points last night, but his efficiency has not been great so far in the series, and I think the storyline has been more about the defense, and in Game 3, it was about Chet Holmgren's second half. Matt, is there any reason to be concerned about Shai's start to this postseason?
Well, first off, if the defense is the reason, then why exactly is he winning MVP? Second, I'll ask. Shai had 2 great playoff rounds last year, so it's not like he has an established history of coming up short from a postseason perspective. They lost that Maverick series not because Shai didn't have good games. So my thing is, like, every run is different. If he struggles in this one, they're not going to go as far as they need to, because they're eventually going to face a team that isn't in the Grizzlies predicament here. And that's when they're going to need him. Like, they'll need Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I think he'll answer the bell when that time comes. But I also I'm not like, oh, it's nothing to worry about, because sometimes guys have rough playoff runs. Steph's had them. Like, lots of great players have had them before. Hey, so it's one of those a situation where I'm like, yes, you're going to need him, and you might not get it, but I'm not willing to go out here and say like it's really concerning or it's not concerning at all. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll start being more concerned when they stop winning games. I mean, they're still winning these games, and so as of right now, I'm not going to be overly worried about it. I think Shai's going to turn it on when it matters the most. Right now, they're relying on their defense or relying on their depth, and it's a series against the Memphis Grizzlies, which outside of the brief time last game when they had to do the comeback, like they've been in control of those first two games for the most part. So it's nothing to worry about quite yet, but it is something to keep an eye on, especially as we go forward into the playoffs.
Let's flip it over to the Memphis Grizzlies. If you're a Grizzlies fan, should you be more encouraged by how much they were up with Ja Morant in the lineup? You know, just looking towards the future, I don't think many people are giving them a chance to really get back into this series. Or Haize, are you more discouraged that Ja Morant is that important to your team and gets hurt again after getting way up into the air? I thought he was done with dunking, but apparently not, and it results in another injury.
I'm concerned, like they should be concerned about everything more so than just there should not be much reason for optimism with this team. There's so much uncertainty going into the future about like this team recapturing that magic before, needing to make a change to do something different. You have a player in Zach Edey who's playing well for you at times, but he's unplayable at certain time and stretches. Like there shouldn't be no reason for optimism. Yeah, you went up. Great. That's good. You're still going to lose this series. You got some serious things you need to figure out in the offseason. So if I'm a Grizzlies fan, I'm more concerned about what we do about that than being a little bit excited because we were up for part of a playoff game.
I think I'm more bummed that they weren't able to hold on because it's like Ja hasn't been great this year. You should have had the infrastructure. I don't know what happened to this team. I really don't. I really don't know what happened to this team. And you know, Desmond Bane is my favorite player on this Grizzlies team. And he's just had a really rough season. Like he just hasn't been able to knock down shots, hasn't been able to be the defender that he needs to be. 2 of 10 in the second half last night. That's rough. Like SPJ honestly carried him first half, a lot of it. And then he cooled off 1 of 6 in the second half, 5 points, minus 26. Jaren's still not able to take over games. It's really hard to see what they're going to do here. And I fear that they're going to break this team up and pivot towards a Ja Morant, Zach Edey combo. And I just don't have a lot of faith or enthusiasm about that future.
Speaking of a lack of optimism and enthusiasm, the Denver Nuggets lose to the LA Clippers in LA, 117-83, the final score, go down 2-1 in the series. And I won't make Matt restate what he stated on the Locked On Nuggets podcast. I'll just play it for you here.
They can't win with Christian Brown and Peyton Watson. 2 timelines didn't work. Project Dynasty is dead. It's over. It's finished. The architect of it got fired. Like, it's done. They have to have a complete and total rebuild, and that's going to be really difficult.
Wow. That is a huge statement there. Matt, does that full rebuild include Jokić, or do they have to rethink everything on this roster?
Yeah, I mean, that's a little out of context. Like I said, they're not rebuilding. They're not going to tank. We talked a lot about they're not going to tank next year. This isn't tear it down to the studs and start over and try and get young talent. You don't do that. You reload. But what I do think is this core Murray, Gordon, MPJ, 2 of them are likely to be gone if they can move them. And if they can, I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 was gone because of how much they need to reshape the roster. They have to basically start from scratch and build an entirely new team around Jokić because of how much this one doesn't currently work. Like Jamal Murray's had a good season. 22-6 this year. He had like career highs in several categories. Aaron Gordon shot great from 3-point range this year. His defense slipped off, but he had a lot of health issues that probably won't repeat. MPJ had a phenomenal start to the year and then had a terrible back half of the year. It's like these guys aren't bad, but they just need a new combination. They're going to you got to shuffle the deck almost entirely around Jokić. But yeah, I will never be shocked when an NBA superstar leaves or if he demands out, but I would be pretty surprised if Jokić was not with the Nuggets in 3 years.
Yeah. So as far as that rebuild, yeah, they'd be crazy to get rid of Jokić. I don't think that should be on the menu yet. To Matt's point, completely rebuild everything else around him. I don't know if everyone has to go. Like I do think depending on what you get back, maybe in the first move, maybe you try to keep some other things just for continuity's sake. But the Denver Nuggets have seemingly been a franchise that's been pretty patient over the years as far as making changes slower over time rather than make a bunch of moves all at once. And I don't expect that to change. But again, Matt's the expert on the Nuggets here. I'm just a bystander looking them from the outside in.
Really quickly, Haize, how important is it for the Clippers to take care of business in the next 2 games? Older team. I mean, Kawhi Leonard looks healthy, but there's obviously always going to be concerns around him. How important is it for them to just go ahead and get this thing done in 5 games?
Yeah, you don't want to allow the Nuggets to get back in this. Like, I get it that they're down 2-1 now, but this is a team that just came back from being down 3-1 before. Like you've seen them do this before. So you don't want to give them a chance, because they take 1 game, then take 2 and gain some momentum. Now the momentum's completely out of your hands. The Clippers need to go ahead and snuff this one out, get this figured out, and win this in 2 more games. Because if you allow the Nuggets to gain that momentum, I don't know if you can get it back.
Again, I'm not a Nuggets fan. I cover the team, but I'm not a Nuggets fan, so this isn't saltiness. I'm just letting you know it doesn't matter. They're not getting past the second round. They're dead in the water. Adorable little run here, beating the 23rd best defense with a flawed roster. But let's settle a little bit down on the Los Angeles Clippers. They're going home in the next round in short order.
All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, we're going to shift our focus to the Eastern Conference. Is there anyone that can challenge a Cavs-Celtics Conference Finals, or is that matchup inevitable? I'll ask Matt and Haize that and more coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, streaming services, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center with all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so that you can go beyond just managing money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on streaming services and audio plugins and all of these different things. Spoiler alert, it was a lot. And now I budget smarter and save more. The best part is that I don't have to use multiple apps. I can just use Monarch to check my finances, track my spending, and plan out my long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. 50% off. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Your favorite NBA team has a free and daily newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com, subscribe, and stay up to date with local expert analysis. The Indiana Pacers travel to Milwaukee tonight with a 2-0 lead and an opponent in the Bucks that seem unable to keep up with their run-and-gun attack. Tony East and Ty Windish were on the latest episode of Locked On Pacers to talk about what the Pacers have done right and if there's anything Milwaukee can do about it.
Pacers, I think, had to feel good after the first 2 games for the same reason. They were getting awesome shots like every other play that were very open or like in the exact spot they want from whoever they want. And the Bucks probably feel bad because they're like, dang, we can't stop them from getting these shots all the time. And the Bucks were decent on defense. You're right. They were 11th, 12th, right, in defensive rating. Like, why have they had so many struggles on that end of the floor? Is it all lineups to you, or what do they need to do better?
They're trying to guard Tyrese with 3/4/5s, and he's just too quick. And I actually do think the Bucks strategy should be, as much as possible, to switch without giving up like the instantly you lose matchups, whether it's personnel or maybe just fighting through some more screens. Like, they give up switches a little too easily, I think, when they do switch. But I would want to make Tyrese beat an AJ Green. His genius is attacking with the pass more than just isoing players. Like, I would try to make him do something he doesn't want to do that much.
Haize, are the Pacers, from what you've seen so far, are the Pacers a real threat to a Cavs-Celtics Conference Finals, or is this Bucks matchup making them seem better than they are?
Yeah, I mean, this is a matchup that plays really well for the Indiana Pacers. I don't think that they're a threat to get past either Boston or Cleveland. I think both teams will handle them. Now, I'm not saying that they can't make it an interesting series, but I'm not picking them over either one of those teams. The Pacers have a really good matchup, and we've talked about that, like, leading into this playoff run. How the seeding works was going to determine a lot for certain teams. And, shout out to the Pacers for being able to play as well as they have against the Milwaukee Bucks, but I don't see them having that success against the defense of the Cleveland Cavaliers, as well as what they can do offensively, and definitely the barrage that the Boston Celtics would throw at them from the three-point line, as well as the defense there. So I don't really think they're a threat in the East at all, but it's been a fun series to watch for them.
They're absolutely a threat. They're absolutely a threat. This team causes chaos. They play with a freeness and a confidence and a physicality that most teams are not comfortable with. They do have some matchup advantages, I think, in that next series in terms of Pascal Siakam being able to bring Evan Mobley out a little bit to get the rim protection cleared out so they can attack. The biggest thing is the Cavs are going to be able to generate more three-pointers, but the Pacers are one of the better teams at limiting threes. So that math game is going to continue to be a big issue there. They're going to try and put pressure on the ball on Tyrese Halliburton, and he is awesome at being able to navigate that and still find ways to impact the game. Like, the Cavs defense is set to try and take the ball out of the hands of a primary scorer. Tyrese Halliburton is like, I'm fine with that. Like, I impact the game by having, even when I have bad shooting nights. So they're very live. But I will say, don't count this Bucks series as done, because I think we're overreacting a little bit to 2 games. We'll see what happens in game 3.
Well, the Bucks had to shift their starting lineup a little bit, getting Dame Lillard back in game 2. Should they shift it even more? Should they bench Brook Lopez and play Portis at the 5? Should they bench Kuzma? Is there an answer here for the Bucks in a starting lineup shift, Matt?
I mean, we're in an era where we just don't pay attention to laws. We just do things, and then the laws are like, no, you can't do that. And we're like, we're just doing it anyway. They should just trade Kuzma to the CBA, like, to get him as far away from that team as humanly possible. Get them, go back in time, invent a time machine, and get yourself Chris Middleton back. Haize, if they've got Chris Middleton, this series is 1-1 right now.
I don't know if I feel that way, but I get what you're getting at. You're making a really good point.
It was down to 5 in that fourth quarter of game 2.
But the same thing is he's called Chris Middleton for a reason. Like, there's times where he just doesn't show up. Now, if you're guaranteed to get good Chris Middleton, maybe you can make that. But like, that was far from a sure thing for the majority of this season.
Sir, Kuzma had 22 trillion in game 1. The bar for better is low.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see if they figure out something. Award season, it is here, and the award reveals have been trickling out this week. Yesterday, we got Defensive Player of the Year, and it went to Cavs big Evan Mobley, winning over Dyson Daniels in second, and Draymond Green finishing in third. Haize, was this a well-deserved win for Evan Mobley?
Yeah, I think Evan Mobley has a great case. I think I would have had more of a problem if Dyson Daniels won it because of steals, where his own ball defense wasn't always the best. Evan Mobley is one of the more versatile defensive weapons that we have in this league. He's a big part of why the Cavs defense is as good as what it is, what he does protecting around the rim and at the rim. So yeah, I can get with Evan Mobley. Still think Lou Dort should have been one of the 3 finalists in this, but Evan Mobley winning it, I can get behind.
Matt, Draymond did a lot of campaigning. Why didn't it work?
Because it was a nonsense pick. Nonsense. Absolute narrative garbage. Oh, he shut down Giannis. What about Aaron Gordon, 40 points the night before? We won't even talk about that. Get all the way out of here. It was ridiculous that he finished. It's ridiculous that Dyson finished second. Like, Dyson's a great story. Put him on the most improved list. What are we doing? Like, here are your top 5 defenses. OKC. No finalists in the top 3. Clippers, no finalists in the top 3. Orlando, no finalists in the top 3. Houston, no finalists in the top 3. Minnesota, no. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, let's reward the great defenses and not just be like, oh, the steals and the blocks and this guy's got a beat writer that'll write for him. Let's actually have a serious approach to DPOY for once. The NBA is going to reshape this. Get 12 people, 3 former coaches, 3 former players, and a media member. Put them to work on figuring out DPOY, because this is an absolute atrocity the way this vote is going. Evan's great. Evan, and this pick's going to look better in the future because Evan was really great for the Cavs this year, and he is so versatile, and he's only going to get better. But good God, the way that this thing shakes out is infuriating to somebody who watches the NBA every single night and the defense that's played in this league.
So Amen Thompson finishing in 5th place for Houston. Haize, go ahead.
I was going to say, you know who won this? Evan Mobley's pockets with that extra $45 million he gets by winning this award. So
great point.
Shout out to Evan Mobley for that one.
That's great. And sometimes timing is everything, because the one name we're not talking about is Victor Wembanyama, because he did not qualify due to missing so many games. When you look at Amin Thompson, when you look at Lou Dort and Evan Mobley, are any of these names going to compete with Victor Wembanyama next year for Defensive Player of the Year, or are they all going to be waiting for another injury?
They're going to be waiting for another injury. Like, Victor was going to win, and I didn't think his defense was great this year, and he's only going to get better. Like, the block rate's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, there are elements of how it feels to play Victor Wembanyama that you can't put in the metrics. And honestly, there's a lot of individual possessions I can isolate. We're like, oh, look, he gets bumped out of position here. Oh, he was late on this rotation. But then you look at you watch a game with Victor, and you're just like, they can't do anything when he's down there. And that's really important, because like that's a gap in the way that I do this analysis is if you do it possession by possession, Victor's got some holes in his game. You do it across the entire game, and it's like Jaws is circling down there. And so I just don't think they're going to need a bigger boat if they want to get past Victor Wembanyama.
Haize, if the Cavs and the Celtics do meet in the conference finals, do you think that Evan Mobley's defensive impact is going to be felt, or do you think the Celtics will have an answer to that?
I mean, the Celtics may have some answers, but I mean, Evan Mobley's still going to make his presence felt. He's just too good, too important to what they do defensively for him. I'll say this. If his presence isn't felt at all, the Celtics are sweeping the series. His presence is going to be felt.
Wow. All right, Matt.
Real quick, I have 2 picks for you for Eastern Conference Finals MVP. It will either be Evan Mobley or Derek White.
Wow. All right, there you go. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. Coming up on the Locked On NBA podcast, we're going to talk more about that Knicks Pistons. It was a great game. Came down to some controversy at the end, but it might be covering up some adjustments that the Knicks made, including their 2 stars, Jalen, Brunson, and Karl-Anthony Towns. Has this playoffs been more about superstars so far, or has it been more about role players? That, plus our favorite things on Locked On NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Knicks Pistons went back and forth, just like Jalen Brunson over the midcourt line. No backcourt violation called. The ref controversy might have obscured an adjusted and better game plan from the Knicks' 2 stars, Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, who were critiqued for doing too much and not enough with the ball, respectively. Here's Locked On Knicks, first on how Brunson adjusted, and then Cat.
He came out, and it's basically what I've asked out of him all year. I think what you've asked out of him all year. And he said, how can I get everyone else feeling good? How can I get everyone else comfortable? And then I'll find my offense as the game goes on. And he shot pretty poorly, right? He was 5 for 14 through 3 quarters before finishing up 4 for 6. But some of the passing was just really good. And this is something you always bring up, but his willingness to get off the ball, I thought was important. Like, he had a possession where he got off the ball early, and then Hart hits him right before the shot clock for a corner 3. I'm like, that's because he was moving. That's because he let other guys touch the basketball. And that's kind of proof of concept on what you and I and so many of these other podcasts and reporters and fans have been preaching.
Karl-Anthony Towns, 31 points, shot 10 of 18 in this game, 4 of 8 from 3.
Yeah.
May I say again, 4 of 8 from 3. Do more of that, please. He seemed to make a conscious effort to make sure that he was getting attempts from 3 in this game. Mm-hmm. Huge, helped the spacing in a huge way.
All right, what did you see there, Haize? Crisis averted for the New York Knicks. Do you think so?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. If they would have lost and let the Detroit Pistons keep building momentum and not steal this first, I think it was important to get this first game in Detroit and get a win there, because with the young team, a scrappy team like the Detroit Pistons, especially with the defense that they can play with Jalen Duren and XYZ, like it was very important for them to get this win. And I think the way they did it was really good too. Having big games from Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns was needed at this point in time, and they did make an adjustment. So, hopefully this is a pathway to kind of more consistent success for the Knicks against this Pistons team, because I still won't be surprised if the Pistons come back and win this series.
First round teams that go up 2-1 when they have home court advantage. They started the series with home court advantage. 70-7, 91% of the time they get the win. One thing I think that is the big difference though here is just like a lot of this is legitimately just shot variance. The Pistons actually have better shot quality right now than the Knicks, and they've shot about the same. Detroit has the 5th highest expected EFG in the playoffs at 55%. but they're at 53% for actual. They just haven't been able to knock down the shots as well. Now, New York takes tough shots, so you expect them to make a few more. So it's not surprising they've got a little bit of a better EFG, but the Knicks aren't creating as good of shots. The Pistons are getting shots, but they can't knock them down. I think Detroit is able to knock them down enough for them to win one more game in this series, but I think game 3 was ultimately the decider, and the Pistons won't be able to win this series, but it's going to be I still think this is a good first round run for this core. Also, sorry, one more thing. If Jaden Ivey is healthy for this matchup, this is 2-1 Pistons right now.
Agree there. Wholeheartedly, I agree there. Jaden Ivey was so important to that team, and I was hoping he was going to be able to come back for the playoffs after that little glimmer of hope there, but this team's ahead of schedule. You look at where they were last year, even if this series ends 4-1 this year, they still are pointing in the right direction.
So the story with New York so far has been about the 2 stars, but do you think the playoffs in general have been about the impact of superstars or about depth or lack thereof on some of these teams? I mean, I look at we talked a lot about the Lakers, and you've gotten some huge performances from Luka, but sometimes it hasn't been enough because of the lack of depth there in LA. What has this playoffs been more about for you, Matt?
I mean, look, even for New York, OG Anunoby's had a huge series. Mikal Bridges had some big shots in this series. I think Nembhard having a huge series for the Pacers. Part of this, I think, honestly, is who are your 2 and 3? Everybody's got a 1. Everybody's got a 1, but they don't have a 2 and a 3. Like Memphis is down because Jalen Williams has been phenomenal. Chet Holmgren's been great, and Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane have been awful. Or I'm sorry, Zach Edey, the second most important player on the roster, apparently. You go up and down, like Denver, the Nuggets. Jokic hasn't been amazing, but he's racking up assists because they're throwing triple teams at him. They don't have anybody that can make him pay. James Harden's been honestly the guy for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard's been great. So I think a lot of it is who's your 2 and your 3, because you're going to need those guys. And under the new CBA, which I'm going to keep coming back to, you're going to have to get great contributions from guys that don't get paid as much. And if you get that, you're in a really good position, I think, to win these series. I think it's not just about who's the best guy. It's, okay, if the ones cancel out, who's got the better 2 and 3?
I think it's been about both. Stars have to have the star level performance. You need that, but you do need to have the supporting cast around them. We've seen that throughout, the season, throughout the playoffs, especially last year. You look at the run that the Dallas Mavericks went on. You need both. You need to have a well-built and constructed team. So Matt's point about who's your 2 and your 3, that matters hugely. I would even say, especially as the playoff goes on, it matters who your 5 and your 6 is as well. Like it matters those depth and how they fit in and the different lineups that you can throw and who can step up if your star does have a down game or the opposing team has a really good game plan for them. It's always going to be important in series like this. We haven't really seen any run where role players don't matter hugely, but you need those stars so the role players' output can be maximized. I think it still is. You need both, and you need that roster balance.
Depth used to not matter in the playoffs. It was just like, let's run, we're going to run 7 guys, and our top 2 guys are going to decide it. But I really feel like we're in an era where if you're able to construct a 7-man roster full of really good NBA players, like that's where you're in the best position because of, how many of these shots are threes, how many of these shots are kickouts off of the attention that the number ones create, your stars create. So like, I never used to think depth was all that important for a playoff run. I think I'm kind of moving the other direction where you got to have like 7-8 guys who can play and give you contributions because everybody's got high level talent. You're not going to get overwhelmed. It's not like, oh man, they've got this guy and you've got nothing. Everybody's got a star now.
And particularly when health becomes a factor. Luckily for the Golden State Warriors, it doesn't appear that Jimmy Butler's injury is going to cost him too many games, maybe 1, maybe 2. We'll see there. We'll get some more updates on that. Jason Tatum, that injury seems to be a little bit more concerning. They're calling the right wrist injury severe. What are your concern levels on either one of those injuries for those teams, Matt?
Tatum's tough, man. Like, he's just tough. He plays through so much. Unless it's going to need surgery, which it doesn't sound like it is because it's a bruise, not a fracture, right? He would already be out. I think they're probably going to be okay. They can also get past this Orlando team and probably rest up with the Knicks and Pistons going a little bit deeper. So I think that they'll be okay. I expect them to wrap up Magic in 5 at most. And so I think they'll probably be okay there. Look, Warriors are in trouble. They're in massive trouble. This Rockets team is coming for their neck. and they don't care, and it's going to be super physical, and it's going to be a longer series. And it's hard to play with the kind of injury that Jimmy's got. Jimmy's tough too. So we'll see who comes back and plays through it. But modern medicine's a miracle. The answer is always, Haize, is drugs.
Haize, when we come back on Monday, are we either going to be talking about how Jonathan Kuminga had a huge game, or the Warriors are down in their series after another loss to the Rockets?
To quote my son when he was 3, anytime something crazy happened, he knew he was about to get in trouble. Oh, no. I think that's what Warrior fans are going to be saying when we come back Monday is, oh, no. Yeah, because I think the Warriors are going to be down considerably.
All right, it's Friday, and we're bringing it back, our favorite things of the week. And this is a playoff edition, the first playoff edition of Favorite Things of the Week. Haize is getting choked up at the idea of sharing his, so I'll let Matt kick things off. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with Karl-Anthony Towns stepping up, man. Towns gets a bad rap, and he had a rough game too. But I thought game 1, he really took it to them in the second half. And then game 3, he was absolutely phenomenal once given the opportunities. I just think Cat has been badly criticized. There are guys in this league I don't think that are about the right things. Cat's not one of them. Cat's about the right things. He wants to win. He wants to do good things. So seeing him have this opportunity, I think has been really cool. There's this idea of him getting bodied and bullied and bothered by the Pistons, and he's been brilliant. And now I'm out of alliteration. So, Haize, that's my favorite thing of the week is Karl-Anthony Towns stepping up.
My favorite thing of the week has been the physical play of the playoffs. Like, it just feels like playoff basketball when he gets as physical as what it has been. Like, that's a win for me. It is what it is. I'm almost 40 years old, so I appreciate physical sports and the physical play that we've seen from these teams and the way the refs are really just letting these guys play. That's been a huge win for me this week.
And I think you've seen the physicality be different with veteran players and maybe rookies like Zach Edey in that play where he had the tip. He could have just easily gotten the tip, but I think it was a Dort that he smacked in the face on the jump ball. That's where, again, it's about physicality, but it's also about playing smart and having that veteran savvy. My favorite things of the week: a flaming hot Cheeto in the shape of Michael Jordan's Jumpman logo sold for $8,000 in an auction. Haize, was that you? Did you throw out $8K for that?
First of all, if I had $8K to spend on a Cheeto, believe me, I'd rather get a 67 Chevy Impala than a Michael Jordan shaped Cheeto. I'm not that much of a fan.
And what? It's a flaming hot Cheeto. It's different. Okay.
Not enough.
I've got two, actually. I've got another one. The Clippers, they've got their wall, which is their fan section of their arena, and there's been a little bit of data released that says that maybe that wall has affected opponents' free throw percentage. It didn't affect Nikola Jokić last night. He was 3 of 4 from the line, but not for lack of trying. Apparently, the Clippers gave out horse masks for fans to wear in the wall section, a signal to Jokić to go back to the thing he loves. His horses. What do you think, Matt?
Absolutely incredible. It's a great move. I just love stuff like this. We need more owners like Steve Ballmer. We need more arenas like this. I was so happy for Clippers fans last night to get that arena and to have that moment where they're no longer sharing it with the Lakers. They're no longer under the shadow of the Lakers championships and their aura and the blah, 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 blah. Like, for them to have this moment, I think is really great. Like, shout out to Steve Ballmer for being the type of owner that teams need. We need more. And like Ishbia is honestly like this. He's made mistakes, but like he wants to win. He's spending to try and win. Like, we need more owners that are invested in the fans rather than just trying to make a buck.
If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Enjoy tonight's action. Be kind to each other, and we're going to see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA. I'm sorry, Haize.